Welcome back, guys, to another 4skins podcast. We are joined by Mthabisi Bokete, hailing all the way from Makuta Village. I got that right, eh? Makuta Village. Makuta. And we have Fred Maunze.
Yes.
From RSS Solutions.
Yes.
Fred, how are you doing, my guy?
Yeah, I'm alright. Just been an interesting day today.
It's been an interesting day,
yeah? Good to be here, though. Finally.
That's December for you, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. If people could see my beard, I'm sporting a December look as well.
Yeah, you definitely look ready for December.
December.
Exactly.
Spelled with a Z.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one.
Ace.
Yeah, bro.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How's everything?
Good to see you.
Hey,
I haven't seen you in a while.
straight up, man. Like, you know how business is. It takes you out of the world, and it can be stressful sometimes.
Yeah. So the last time I saw you was at Fago Cafe. It's not called Fago anymore, but it was
What
Fago.
is it called?
What is it called now?
Oh, it doesn't have a name.
It's nameless. We
Are
can
you-
still call it Fago.
Are you for real?
You
though?
can't,
Yeah.
though.
What is it called then?
You can't call it Fago.
Oh, we can't call it Fago?
The original brand guys will have you for that.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
It's not called
So
Fago
it
anymore.
has no name anymore,
It
but
has
it's
no name.
operating.
Yeah.
It's just
So
call
the
it
stuff-
Square Mat coffee
Whoever
shop.
you
Square
are,
coffee shop.
if you know the
Literally by
name,
the
please tell
building.
us.
In the comment section.
Yeah, just put it in there.
Put it in the comment
If you guys
section.
know
Let us know.
what the place
Yeah,
is
like
called.
$10. Like,
Yeah.
Please tell us if the food's good.
I don't think so. If it's still Fergo stuff, I'm joking. Hey, no shit, guys.
So the reason why both of you are here is because I respect both of you so much, because you're both entrepreneurs and I feel like you have so much to say. You have so much advice. You guys are a wealth of wisdom when it comes to entrepreneurship. Both of you, I think.
What praises?
I know. I'm just like,
If
wow.
only you knew.
So I think we should begin with demystifying the startup culture. There's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to startups. And we aren't seeing a lot in Botswana. We aren't seeing a lot of mature startups in Botswana. So Fred, just tell us why. Why do you think we don't see as many mature startups as you will see in South Africa or in Kenya or in Rwanda recently? Why do you think that is?
Okay, so probably just as a first point, I took part in an event recently, about 2-3 weeks ago. I was invited as a judge. I think Tabi, you actually there, yeah. And
A sponsor.
Yeah, as a sponsor. So unfortunately, the one thing at the end of the event, when they then asked the judges, just to pass your comments, I didn't have much else to say, and I said, the one thing we just lack as startups in Botswana specifically is we just don't research. I watched 24 pitches, and I can assure you I knew almost 50% more on things I'd never actually spent too much time researching on than people who spend 2, 3, 4 weeks planning projects and proposals to present to judges and potential investors and things like that. So just the research element, whether it's research about the market, research about just marketing itself, the product, sourcing of raw materials, whatever it is, people just don't invest in time in actual research. Guys buy a business plan. When I'm on Facebook, someone says CEDA plans approved,
for 1,000
and then
pula.
1,000 pula, and then someone goes for that. But you know
I've
nothing
never
about
seen
all
that
that. I see them all the time.
I've seen them too.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, people will literally put together business plans and sell them on the internet. And
And you know what they use? That business in a box thing. Is it that business
the
planner?
software.
Yeah, the
Yes.
software.
Yeah.
That's what they use.
So it's a template.
It's ridiculous. It's just a template. So you've no business knowledge
it's
whatsoever.
a racket. It's a scam.
So yeah, it's a scam.
really
I mean,
is.
it's so at the end of it, that's my first main issue to say. There's just no research, and then thereafter staying power. I mean, this business here. Last year we lost
What
about.
business is that?
This
Just
is
let people
Raftec
know.
Solutions. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Raftec Solutions.
Okay.
So we specialize in production machinery, production support machinery, things like that. Last year, this business lost about 150 odd thousand pula.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're in the red negative.
Okay.
And I can safely say this, my partners will be happy with this. We are 278% in the green this year in terms of profits
see.
during a COVID year.
Wow.
But staying power and strategic planning or other things that happen behind the scenes, which people lack throughout. I'll be just honest. Yeah. I think from there we can always develop more stuff. There's a lot.
Yeah,
I might just end up talking for the next 20 minutes. So yeah. So let me just stop there and then we proceed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Tabi, you have actually started a couple of ventures in Botswana. But I also learned that you have a company in Mauritius, or you have a branch in Mauritius as well. So what does Digital Natives actually do in Botswana?
Okay, so Digital Natives were like a software first, design second agency.
Okay.
Actually specialize in disruption. I know most people say no, you can't. There's no such thing as being a disruptor or something like that. But but on the core essence of like what we do, we usually, for example, we introduced the first mobile digital truck that like drives around
Yo,
town.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
by the circles.
Yeah,
around
gives off
about.
Wi-Fi and things like that. So like that's us disrupting advertising.
Okay.
And then, for example, with the electricity,
Yeah.
we had to manually type it in and stuff like that. You don't know when your power's cutting. You just cuts and you're like, damn, I have to walk like 5Ks. We made an app for that.
Oh, so you guys have a solution for that?
Yeah, it's called Easy Peasy. It actually
Okay.
won 120,000 Bula, I think, in September last year for the total startup competition.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, but obviously, I didn't necessarily like onboard it so much because BPC had a bit of issues around that.
Okay.
Due to the fact that they're like redoing their meters.
Yeah.
Long story short, and like I agree with Peter, my boyfriend. Sorry, I agree with my boyfriend. Sorry,
I'm his boy, but I don't even know my name.
No. I legit. I agree with my boyfriend here with regards to like the startup culture. First of all, I just wanted to define like what a startup is.
Okay.
Right. I think there's
what it's not.
Yeah, and what it's not.
Yeah.
So there's a misconception, right?
Okay. Talk to us.
And even venture capitalists and who they fund. Like, there's also a misconception. They only fund tech companies. And most people are like, what? No, that's not true. No, literally, look it up.
Yeah.
Venture capitalists fund technology-based companies.
Okay.
Fast-growing and pace disruption, like legit. That's what they're designed to do.
Yeah.
But we've now just classified it as a funder. Venture capital, fund us all. Investor. Straight.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah, so just backtracking to the startup. So the startups in like tech, the startups in agriculture, the startups in various things. We just classify startups as a small company that doesn't necessarily have a solid client base, right? Or is trying to approve a model of business, regardless of what industry it's in, right? And each of those have different stages and durations.
Okay.
So you might find like tech startups life cycle can die within the first 6 months.
Right.
Like if it doesn't work, it's gone. Whereas with agriculture, if it doesn't work, wait for your season. You know what I mean? Like just wait for the rain, man.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. And then if it's like manufacturing, it just depends on what the government is looking for at that period in time.
Okay.
Whereas with tech, legit, if you miss a certain window, chances are someone else is going to do it, or you won't get the same amount of funding. Therefore, you end up dying in the longer run. You may not die in the first 5 years, but you'll die in 10 instead of dying in 50 if you had got the funding that year before.
Okay. I think you've just brought up a very important like aspect of startup life cycle, which is funding. We can't get access to funding.
Yeah. So
how is that an issue?
No,
has that been an issue for you?
No. Okay. So I definitely see funding as an important thing, but it's more of like it's not a means to an end. I think access to market is. Especially,
right. I agree with him fully on that.
But I want to ask you guys something while we're on this. Is my view, especially when it comes to startups and a lot of the entrepreneurs I've spoken to. Maybe I could be wrong on this, but I've always felt like the idea or the vision people have for their businesses here in Botswana in particular isn't big enough. Because a lot of times when I speak to people, they're thinking about, if I do this, government will pick it up. If I do that, government will pick it up. I hear so many people who want to start businesses and their main focus, their main client is the government.
Wow.
I take issue with that. I don't think that's a particularly effective model. But
I think maybe I honestly think it's genuinely the circles that we're in. Because personally, in like the space that I've recently gone through, especially with those 24 pitches, it didn't seem like they were trying to pitch to government.
Okay.
Not to say that does not exist. I'm sure there's every kind of person under the sun. But like I'm sure,
I'm glad that that's actually the case, that none of them are pitching. That actually means there's a shift in the mindset that I think it's a positive thing, in the positive direction.
But that doesn't mean it's good though. Still, because
look. The honest truth is the reliance on government needs to cease. I want to give you a practical example of something. One bloke I know, they have a company up in Francistown. They're doing water. They are struggling to get business because they're relying on the city councils to buy their water. They want to sell a bottle of water at 6 pula, 7 pula, 8 pula.
Yeah.
And I asked him the other day. I said, "Who's selling the Francistown bus rank?" And he says, "A company in Tlokweng." is supplying water. Yeah. A Tokwen company producing water is selling water in Francistown. So your own backyard, they're making 50 tebe or 1 pull up a bottle, but they're selling volumes. So it's a mindset, planning, strategies, a whole bunch of things that are just missing within the whole startup culture, the way people run businesses and things like that. So everyone thinks government will buy my things, government will help me, government will do this, government will fund me, and stuff like that. But it really doesn't work like that. You have to, like Tabi just said, funding is not everything as well. There are other things that you need to think about, whether it's access to market, how you actually want to grow your business. It's just quite a number of things that somebody has to really conceptualize before just saying, you know what, I want to run a business today. I honestly think,
I agree.
Yeah, I think 80% of the people who are entrepreneurs today actually just need to be employees, to just face reality, go get a job.
But off of your question about government, government has to create a conducive environment for startups, right?
Sure.
Like there has to be access to venture capitalists, funds, essentially. And so on one hand, we don't want them involved in the private sector because the private sector is supposed to be run by market forces.
Exactly.
But the government can stimulate market forces by actually creating a conducive environment, making sure that people like Tabi, like you, yourself, have access to resources, have access to scalable resources to grow your companies, to hire more people, to produce more, to make more, to start exporting beyond our borders. So what do you think about the role of government? Like where should their intervention begin and where should it end? Where's the boundary?
I think, look, the current interventions the government of Botswana is providing, specifically the government of Botswana, are sufficient.
Okay.
They're more than enough. If you're a small scale business, you can go to YDF, you can go to LIA. They're giving 1,000 pula, the new thing that they're doing. They give 1,000 pula, 2,000 pula, 3,000 pula, and it's grant money, if I'm correct, from what I've heard on radio. Then if your business is going to the next stage, they've actually finally separated the structures as well. Then if you're going to the next stage, you can go to your, you can go to YDF. Next stage, you can go to CEDA. Next stage, you can go to BDC. And BDC's is take on level with NDB as well, but NDB is focusing on certain manufacturing sectors, agriculture, and things like that. And for example, up with CEDA, you can get this up to 20 million, if I'm correct, right? Is it 10 or 20?
50.
50 million.
And then BDC's projects start from 20 million upwards, and there should be no ceiling because that's some of it involves government intervention.
Right.
And then your YDFs kick you, they stop you at
200K.
No, it's actually 500,000.
Okay.
Yeah, but 450.
Youth fund.
Yeah, youth fund.
Yeah, well,
but
yeah.
certain
okay.
the specific projects get up to 450K.
But you have to be in a group. Remember that. That one, there's a catch. You
Yes.
need to be
Okay.
in a group. You can't be an individual.
So if
Needs
you
to be
come
like 10
alone,
plus.
what's the maximum amount you
No,
can
you
get?
cannot.
Should be 100.
100 as an individual?
As an individual, it's 100. Yeah, individual
I was
business.
unaware of that.
Okay, I mean, that's
I
next
thought
to
with that
nothing.
YDF, they usually, from what I heard, is like you need to be like 5 people or 10 people because they want to fund a group of people to spread liability.
The when you're getting the bigger amount, that's when they want groupings. But smaller amounts, because I know one lady, she's doing dog food stuff. So she's alone and she actually got funded for 100K or so. So these things do exist.
All right.
So the government has enough interventions. So then you start to find out like a new system that's coming on board. We've started recently. I'm part of the Angel Network Botswana. So it's a new concept of guys who've got a bit of money here and there, try and fund to angel fund about whether it's 25,000, 500,000, whatever it is. So all these things are beginning to to come about in Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, I'm saying in Botswana, they begin to mushroom here and there. They exist in Zimbabwe and South Africa and all those places. I'm thinking of things that are happening elsewhere. So the stuff, the private sector interventions are coming about. And this is what we actually now need. And the same VCs, I think, in 2019, when Bukhulu was still the minister, she invited a couple of guys, former Silicon Valley guys who are based in Kenya.
Yeah,
they came
I was
here.
invited to that.
Yeah, so they came here.
iCharles, right?
Yes. So they came here, they got to see what was actually happening in Botswana. So these are kind of things that maybe at government intervention level, you'd rather say people like BITC should be bringing in people of value who are VCs, who are angels, to come see people here and let them see what Botswana's about. Africa's not a place full of lions. We've got cities we've built here, what I mean? Things we're doing. And with enough funding support, then that's what works. But the government itself is doing too much, actually. For the ordinary entrepreneur, I think.
Okay, so if these VCs come in, these potential investors come in, there's a phrase I think which you like, Tubby, which is collaborate, create, innovate. You love that phrase, don't you?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Do you think that that's something that we need to do more of? Like, we need to collaborate more with each other and see along the value chain where we can actually help each other and maybe close it off amongst friends and say, look, you can supply me with this, and then I can manufacture that, and then our friend can actually transport it, and then our other friend can actually sell it. Is that something that you think is needed more? Why is there so much distrust actually amongst like even partners?
Yeah, I think the distrust comes from university projects.
Projects.
It's started there. It's started there.
It started there. Yeah.
Literally, where you feel like you're putting all the weight, and like you tend to have this distorted reality that you're putting more effort than someone else, and yet you might either be putting less or the same amount. It's just because it's just a different kind of stress. You know, maybe somebody lifting up 20 weights that weigh 20 kgs for your body size versus me who's carrying 5 kgs for my weight.
Yeah.
We would be doing equivalently the same.
Yeah.
But not like an ant. It carries like 5 times its weight. If you were to do that, you'd be carrying a house. You know what I mean? So it's that kind of understanding where people think that they're doing more than somebody else, and somebody else is trying to steal it. And generally, because we have a mindset of scarcity. Not everyone, but a lot of people have a mindset of scarcity, and that is a cornerstone to people trying to steal money, distrust, do backdoor deals. So, for example, like we have that whole chain supply.
Yeah.
I partner with you and you're doing deliveries or something like that.
Yeah.
You now go straight to my clients and then try to do what I'm doing. Just to take my people, and then you want to own, like it's
that happens a lot.
because you think there's not enough. That's the scarcity mindset, you see. Where you don't realize there's actually plenty.
It's like a zero-sum mentality.
100%.
It is. It's a
For
zero-sum game.
for me to win, you have to lose.
100%. And
Yeah.
the thing is, although I don't really follow this guy, but Vusi mentioned something. No, legit. I have nothing against him. It's just...
I mean, you are allowed to have something against Vusi. A lot of people do.
We shall not expand on that topic.
Yes,
Yeah, we shall not,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
We shall not
Like,
expand
this
on
is a
that.
conversation about technology.
Yeah.
But
Unless
he did
it's-
mention something that was
certain things
quite,
he says are true.
yeah,
Other
quite
things-
true. Yeah, about like how back in the day they used to say only one.
Yes.
That mindset,
I
that
remember
only
that.
one mindset,
Yeah.
where only one of you guys can be successful. Only
Oh no, say it. Only one black person.
Only one
you
black
see,
person.
but
This is use the very words he used.
okay.
There's one
Quoting
black man
from
staying
Vusi.
in the house.
Yeah.
One black man was the stable man. One black man was this. So we're
Yeah.
all fighting to pull each other down. Anyway.
Yeah. Even though we hadn't experienced slavery,
Yeah.
the mindset can trickle down through influence. So maybe people whose ancestors experienced oppression or just some type of restriction from access. So like back when Zimbabwe was Rhodesia, right? There was, with Ian Smith, there was like some type of apartheid system, kind of. It was a bit different though. And where they pushed the I know my history. Right? He's like,
Now
wait
with
a
you.
second.
Now
Yeah.
with you.
I'm looking at the Zimbabwean for if you're hitting it.
No, I'm on. I promise you, there's no
Yeah,
chance.
If I recall, they claimed to be a free market society, but that was not.
Yeah. So what
That was
happened?
not
Like,
even close to what was actually happening. Am I correct?
Yeah, no. We were in trouble.
yeah.
Although the life then, I think to some extent, or even if you're oppressed versus what is there now,
Yeah,
you kind of think maybe
I miss those
You kind of
days.
miss those days, yeah.
So like, so that's when the structure, because like that. Then
I don't mean it Zimbabweans.
that
I'm sorry.
type of oppression can breed two things, right? They can breed extreme hard workers or lazy people who want handouts. Those are the two outcomes. The same way a parent dying can influence two siblings completely differently.
Okay.
Someone wants to work hard and make up for all that thing to make their parents proud who have passed away. Others say that my whole life is an end. They didn't give me anything. They left me with nothing. Like it's like a perception thing, right? And you could argue that Botswana is the latter, where they're like, you need to give me this, you need to help me, government, you need to do this, you're not doing enough. And we tend to, I'm just gonna like double back to that VC conversation when you're talking about like startups and things like that, and how companies need to grow, incubators and accelerators and things like that, like those ecosystems or those little mushroom things like Botswana Innovation Hub, Stanbic Accelerator.
No, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
But like, yeah, so that look. Yeah.
And we must. We cannot
But then,
leave
like-
here without talking about it.
But I think like language, right? oh man, I'm gonna try to segue all the way back into the point of this conversation. But language is very important, right? How we speak and what words we use.
Yeah.
You know, when you speak your vernac,
Yeah.
and then there's those words that it doesn't sound the same in English. Like it doesn't just give you
It gets
the
lost
same
in
impact.
translation.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like you just need to understand the joke in vernac, or else it's just you're not gonna get it.
It just doesn't make any sense.
So
The same works with insults.
and that's-
Some of them just don't mean anything in English.
Exactly, and that actually applies to savings and how you handle your money.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Yes.
How people speak about money helps them save better. Like there's some Asian countries where like their language, it's not even just Asian countries. There's another language called Amorika, something like that.
Amharic, is
Yeah,
it?
no, not American. It's like I will show it to you. Anyways, that language doesn't have time as a presence, past, present, future. They don't refer to time. They change their names as stages of their life develop. Anyways, their view on money is different because there's no such thing as I'm saving for the future. It's always now because.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm trying to say? So when your saving habits are even increased because you are still the person you are in the future. People tend to save more when they see themselves when they're older, right? Okay. Like if you took a picture of them when they're old, like a augmented reality photo, and they said, "Would you like to opt for saving?" It makes it more real. Whereas if it was just thinking to yourself, "I'm not gonna save," like what? Turn up December with the Z. No, but like the reason I was segueing to the language aspect was because how we speak about funding, innovation, and structures, that also matters. That it's just that concept of understanding what is innovation. We hear technology, you're thinking, oh my God, software. Oh my God, an app.
Yeah.
No, man. Like this table is technology. This glass is technology. Your spoon, your cup, all those things are technology. This mask is technology, guys. Like if you understand, if you can almost break that mentality away, you're not scared of technology. You're just scared of the idea that they've called technology. You see, and then when you understand that technology is all these little things like your cup, your door handle, the gate that you close in the village, those poles, you can now almost extrapolate it and realize that everything's just one thing. It just has a different name to it.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and then that now when you demystify that, your perception on business, innovation, and like closed mindset can change. So you're like, oh, okay. If this is all this matters, then it's not that hard to do this. It's not that difficult to do that. I don't actually need money to start a multi-res. Government don't give me 5 million to start a multi-res. I know this is, for example, entering real estate. I want to tell people to do this. Instead of getting government to give you 500,000 or 1 million or 10 million bula to build a multi-res, find out one of your friends who's selling their house. Tell them you'll sell it on their behalf and get a commission. Okay. And whatever you sell it on, you keep that amount. If you can sell one house, you can sell 2 houses, you can sell 3 houses. Guess what? You're now a real estate agent. No, legit.
Seriously.
Yeah. No, like legit. Yeah. Now you've sold those couple of houses, and now guess what? You can now fund your own. I'm sure there's so many people trying to sell houses, even cars. You want to own a garage? Sell those cars on Facebook on behalf of those people. Reach out to them. Like, to be honest, we're just in this mindset of, no, give me this a lot of money. Then when it fails, but you can't even manage one thing, how are you going to manage the whole thing? Ooh. We don't look at that process. Important. That process is so important. I hate the process.
The process.
But like, it has to happen.
The process or the process, however you pronounce it. But how important is process to you? I know Strive Monsieur, when he came here, he talked about the reasons why most African-owned ventures fail prematurely, and he said it's because of a lack of process. Is that the CEOs or the managing directors doing things, HR is doing something else, marketing is doing something else, and they get a win, but they aren't able to replicate that. And so the following years that go by, they're struggling to actually to meet their former glory days, and so which tells you that they never actually had a process. They were just kind of doing stuff as it came along. So how important is process when you're trying to build a sustainable venture?
Processes are necessary, man. I think for me, it's with the example you're giving, it goes back to strategy at the end of the day. If you have a great, if I remember when I was first an entrepreneur, I had a great 2014 at the time. I think at the time I was about 20. How old was I? Jesus, I was 26. And that year I got this one massive gig with like 300,000. I thought, Jesus. Oh. And this was one of the gigs throughout the year. So I was like, oh shit, I've really made it. And the following year I lost everything. and I was in red, just because I didn't have proper planning, proper thinking in all the systems. And it brings me back to a guy you mentioned that we shouldn't have mentioned here again. Vusi.
Yeah.
You don't see the V word here.
Oh, guys. No, he's ish.
When we spoke about, we once spoke about the whole lady who wanted 2 million rand for the chicken farm.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
To sell eggs and things like that. But the idea is, same things Tabi just said, go and get some eggs. Prove that you can sell eggs. Before scale up selling, the small bits here and there in that business. Get to know that stuff, and then you expand. And then you're then investable, knowing that you know all the processes involved in actually. It's not just I know a chicken lays an egg, and then I take the egg, I go sell the egg, things like that. And the reason why I use this example as well is because myself, I've recently ventured into farming, and I'm actually in the business with layers. So I didn't know anything about this. So instead of investing a large amount of money, we took a small bit of money, rent a space, all that jazz, so that you actually learn over time. But now we've gone through about 6 months and we've really learned quite a bit. So we're now ready to pour in, a substantial amount of money into this particular business, because we're saying, we know almost, not everything, but almost most of the things we need to know in order to ensure that, survival, good yield, whatever it is. We have the information. We know the processes. I've got books where I've actually got statistical information showing me everything. So I know, even if I'm not there, I can tell someone, doing it right. Things like that. So it's very, very important. Without it, you can't go anywhere.
So an organization like the Botswana Innovation Hub, and that's our segue to talk about BIH, is supposed to
just
help.
before we actually get there, there's something else I wanted to ask them. Well, you keep going back on process, and you mentioned earlier about the scarcity mentality. Don't you think a big part of that is that there might be a issue with the culture in terms of scalable business? That people see just the Botswana market. They don't actually think of a business plan that would work in Namibia, in South Africa.
So I think, when people say that you have to build a business for multiple markets, if you're in a product space, it's already multiple markets. I'm just being very honest. If you're selling any product, there's a very high chance you can go to more than one country on this planet to sell that same product. It's so already in that regard, I don't think it's the problem with the business, like you said. I think it's more on the mindset and the envisioning.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm talking about. More
but
the
then
mindset
it's because
issue.
every day you don't have enough to eat. Every day you're waking up and you're like, what? You're not even thinking past the next day, let alone next border. It's very difficult. So you remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You need to facilitate those needs. Equivalent. Yes, you can skip them if you're fasting, because that's straight to actualization. You're fasting, that's straight to actualization. You tend to release. But anyways, I don't want to get into that space because people are gonna start shouting at me.
It's okay.
I can give an example to add to what Tawi's saying in terms of the whole Maslow's theory there. The whole idea is in Botswana, why Indians? I'll be very specific, and I've got a lot of look. People say it's about black people, like a token black friend. I've got a lot of Indian mates and all of that, so they won't mind me saying this. Indians do business better than black people because they understand something as little as small as pricing. Someone's going to price, say, Magwinya or whatever he's selling, looking at his problems. Today I'm hungry, like Chavisa said. Today I need a place to sleep. I need to pay rent, whatever it is. So you look at your problem and say, I need to bill my food at this particular price so I can sell this many plates and get this much in so I can meet this billing. But someone else is going to look at it and say, you know what? If I'm going to sell, if I take it back even to eggs, for example, someone's going to say, I'm going to sell something at 1 pula. But at 1 pula, if I have 20,000 of these things, they're going to go quickly because everybody wants them. They're cheap and they're affordable. They're reliable. They do the job. But someone else, normally us blacks, we come in and we sell the same thing for 5 pula. Because I'm saying, if I can sell the same, but I've got maybe say 1,000 of them or 2,000 of them. So if I can sell the 2,000, I can make this much money and I can solve this problem. So there's a lot to it that, like you said, mindset that has to really, really change. You need to understand more about what you're trying to do in business. I think Tabi mentioned this as well. The whole idea, we're here in our culture. If I die today, my businesses must survive for my children, their children, and on like that. And I mentioned this even on Nuggets with Mr. Mohobe, that black people don't plan ahead. Now I plan to survive and live now, buy my Range Rover, have fun, whether guys want girls, whatever it is, and you die today, that's it. But you don't plan thinking, okay, if I kick the bucket, but I've got 3 kids, 4 kids, whatever it is, what are they going to eat? What's going to happen? That's when you start seeing, the houses are taken, blah, blah, blah. It's we don't have that progressive mentality as black people. The Indian culture, the white culture, they have progressive mentality. If I do something today, I'm not thinking about, when they came to conquer Africa, they didn't think completely about themselves. They said, what's going to happen for us in the future? Where we're going to place ourselves. And they came here, they took Africa, they had visions for it.
Yeah.
And look, they're still here. We're still oppressed. So it is what it is. But anyway, I digress. Yeah.
You know what's quite interesting with this is that I'm not even going to say, like, race exists, right? We all do different colors, but scientifically, pigment and color and all that stuff does not mean anything. Everyone is the same thing. So what I'm actually realizing is that cultures are actually just principles.
Okay.
Right? So if you follow a set of principles in a certain way, you get a certain outcome. Meaning, if black people started behaving like what they would call an Indian or a white person, all they're saying is that they're adopting a culture, which is adopting principles. Right? So if you just you check, you adopt, So ultimately, if you behave in those set principles, you will get the same outcomes. Right?
Yeah.
Because you're just changing your mindset. So it's not necessarily, and it's great because like those are the race of people that use those sets of principles more. Therefore, we can call it white or Indian or Jewish
culture. Yes, exactly.
But they're using certain sets of principles in different manners, and then that has put them in different tiers of wealth. Even Asians, like Chinese, Chinese, Jewish, because like Jews own all the banks. Like, how did that happen? You think that Chinese, because they're so abrasive in Africa, like there's just so many strategies to becoming wealthy. Therefore, there's no one way to do it, and hence these different principles. Even with black kings, it's just that the pity is that we haven't written down our history enough to be able to reference great empires. Like the richest man ever recorded in history was Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa. He was even richer than Rockefeller, guys. I'm pretty sure there was like a build up to that. There's the principle to that. If you could have adopted those principles, then we would have called that the black principle. We'd be like, black people actually are damn good at saving, but guess what? We didn't write down.
We're told we have snakes in the house. Snakes are spitting out money.
Exactly. Like Botokoloshi, but like there are witches as well in the European side.
Culture is huge. I mean, even in other countries, foreign countries, West African immigrants do better than African Americans in America.
Yeah. And
I've seen that statistic.
Even Zimbabweans work, guys, you have to understand something. Before
Come
Zimbabwe,
on,
before there was but before there was an economic hit. When I call it an economic hit, I mean individuals who are paid or designed to go to a country to destabilize it. For example, the Lebanese thing.
Economic hitman.
They're designed to do that, right? So obviously they phrase it and frame it in such a way that it definitely looks like leadership. It's almost like enticing somebody to do a crime that they're going to do. Like how the FBI would frame somebody, they're putting the drugs in the thing, those kind of things. Or putting money and then making the deals. They are the ones trying to make a politician corrupt. I don't know if that makes sense.
So, entrapment. Almost.
Legit. So
and
that's what they're
doing that repeatedly.
But the thing is, you just need to do it a few times until it's your habit. That's all they're just trying to set the ball, get the ball rolling. They're not trying to do it all the time and then that's all it is. No.
Once they get your camera,
into the culture,
once you get, then they dip, and now it's just it propagates itself. That's all they're designed to do. Whether it's through, anyways, I'm trying to get to the point, which is just like those people trying to do that kind of breakdown in Zimbabwe. It used to be the currency was stronger than US dollar, right?
And the pound.
Yeah, and the pound, and they manufactured cars and tires. Do you know any African country that does that? Even SA can't do that. No. Manufacturing cars from scratch, guys?
No.
And they're like the whole setup? No.
Don't they do VW?
VW from scratch?
No,
they do Mercedes.
It's
an assembly.
They assemble it.
Yeah.
And even that
from scratch.
And even that might close soon, from what I've heard, because of rising.
They might close.
Yeah.
Who's this?
The assembly lines in South Africa, some of them might close.
Yeah, it's possible, man.
Yeah.
COVID has been a nightmare.
If you see how the airline in South Africa is being managed, then I can believe what you say.
So, don't worry. What entrepreneur are going to buy more cars?
But you see, like
the business alive.
But then that's the thing.
I can't stand entrepreneurs, but we'll get into that later.
Wait, aren't you one?
No.
Oh, okay.
Far from it.
All right.
Yeah.
Whoa, she's been thrown.
And you must understand my position. Nothing against the person who's going out there just for tenders, but I don't think you're actually adding any value to your society by doing that.
Yeah, no.
And my thing has always been, a business has to do both. It has to be profitable and viable, but also bring some sort of value into the society that it's in.
So I would say yes and no to that. The reason being is because, for example, I don't do government work, but if I did do government work and I did win a huge tender, what I would do with that money could do good to the society, what I believe. So I guess it's based on the person's principles, and which one's the following.
Yes,
Mindsets and things like that, because we tend to we're so quick to say Indians or white people are taking all the businesses and things like that. But the truth is, those guys don't mind getting little. They don't mind making those, like you said, those small tethers consistently. We just don't want that. We want the big flash cash now. Like, that's what it is. And it's unfortunate that that's our mindset. You mentioned something earlier, Kume. What was it? It's just before the topic regarding when Fred started talking about the cultures and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to segue to BIH, but
processes.
We're trying to avoid that.
We're trying to avoid it.
Processes. Yeah, so I was saying.
I think we took like a 10-minute pivot. Yeah. Now we're back.
Processes.
Are we back?
We're back. But I was going to mention something on processes, right?
Okay.
I think for me, in my company, great, you can have processes, right? And they can be top notch. You can have policies, you can have everything. But what I genuinely see the weakness in multiple companies, even large corporations, is communication.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whether it's to your customer or to the other like heads, bodies, whether it's the accounting to like, I mean, and I'm talking about like fluid communication, live, like your instant messenger communication vibes. Like when something hits, for example, you've got a lead. Are the designers prepared? Are the developers working on a potential proposal? Like that kind of comms. Sometimes it's usually hit to one person. That guy forgets because he's busy. His wife divorced him. He's stressed. No, legit, like real problems. You know, systems that can integrate that whole or facilitate that whole process. You say, oh, procurement got our quotation. Ah, but they haven't sent. Are you sure? I sent it last week. Let me go and ask them. That whole that communication. They have processes. They do. They're like, I know if this comes, I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do this. Check, check, check. There, process done. But the communication, when it's not there, you've got nothing. I genuinely believe that. That is a very, very powerful thing. And that not only just to you and within your company, but within just to people. Like your client comes in, says this. You speak to them, and then it's dead. Because you didn't follow up, you didn't provide them with this. There's just so many little things. Even just saying hi to them when you're not working with them can become an opportunity for business.
True.
Like I genuinely believe communication, then processes, and then principles. Actually, no, principles at the top, then communication and processes. Yeah.
Let's talk about the thing you've been itching to talk about.
Man, should we? Yeah. I feel like maybe there's
This is just a hot potato. That's just difficult to handle.
Topic.
No, we must. This
okay,
is
So it's a very delicate matter on my end.
Yes.
Because I'll be very honest.
Yeah.
Because of Angel Network Botswana, and we actually work with the Botswana Innovation Hub.
Okay.
I have to be very strategic. I have to be honest.
Very diplomatic.
Yeah, I have to be diplomatic with what I say here.
All right.
There are relations at stake.
Yeah.
Nice.
But anyway,
So I'll start off by saying.
I'll try and be as ruthless as possible.
Yeah. I'll start off by saying
as
that
raw as I can.
Picked a
Innovation
podcast
Hub-
called Raw and Uncut to be diplomatic.
Clearly,
Guys, you guys really need to
gonna be
4skins.
Yeah, you really didn't think this through when you came.
for the number, guys, not the other thing.
No,
for the number.
for the
like
number.
listeners really like say that whole sentence in your head, like
4skins.
raw and uncut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raw and uncut.
That's a very good play on words. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm going to start off by saying that it is a fantastic initiative for the government to actually create an innovation hub, even though I don't think they should be, but it's a great initiative coming from them, first and foremost. I would disagree at how they went about it. I would disagree that they put money into the building instead of putting money into the hands of people like yourselves. And so the building, I understand, costed between it's like 600 million, if I'm not mistaken, and counting. Or am I getting my figures wrong?
Could be more, but
I believe it might be more than that.
Probably more than that. But my
more.
point is, I would have probably taken the bulk of that money and given it into the hands, put it into the hands of your Freds, your Tubbies, your Timolojos, because I know you've also got a couple of projects coming as
I've
well.
also got a couple.
So I agree and I also disagree in the sense that because why I think they were doing that is what you realize in the USA, right? Sometimes at least for me, when I went to the US, I was going there to see buildings. And not any buildings, tech buildings, like your Googles, your LinkedIn's, your Slacks. How are the offices running? How is it designed? How is it built?
the
Your
Apple
Salesforce,
building
the
is
Apple
fire.
buildings.
Okay.
You see what I mean? Like that becomes a tourist attraction over and above it facilitating innovation in your country. So it becomes a double entendre. You see, and it being beautiful creates hope. When you see beautiful things in a country, you're like, wow, there's progress, there's development, I can put my money here. It's like it's a sign and it's a symbol of that power. And I would still have made the innovation hub, but I just would not have engaged the people they engaged or done it the way they did it.
Okay.
Otherwise, the way that is a great thing. And also, how do we identify a Fred and a Tubby without finding a place for them to meet?
Okay.
You check.
So is that currently happening at the Innovation Hub?
So that, you see, like I said, this is now that's total can of worms that I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Because I'm not physically there. I'm not hosted there. I'm at the Accelerated Stanbic.
Yeah. Shout out Stanbic.
So I can't really say a lot because I genuinely have only been there through the participation of the SADC Innovation Challenge, and that
which
was
you won.
Yeah.
You won the
the
Innovation
SADC
Challenge.
thing. Yeah, the whole
Well
SADC.
done.
Thanks, man.
Well done.
Thanks. It's a digital identity company. Hey guys, plug in for Ministry of Identity.
I mean,
Ministry of
should I give you like a minute to just plug something?
I'm good. But they Google me.
Oh, okay.
I'm teasing.
He's there now. He's one of those guys.
You got a Wikipedia page yet?
Yo, that's real.
You know, Tommy, I found your Twitter account actually.
Oh, really?
Very interesting.
Oh, wow. That's like an old one, guys. The last time I used Twitter was like
Hilarious.
2000 and...
Screenshots must be found and just
Hilarious.
exposed. Just,
You were
I know he does not know the
things.
password, so we can deal with him quite quite well.
guys.
I think you should shut it down
I
because
think
that's
I
us.
must.
Yeah.
I must delete it because like Tinashe Kachingwe. I don't know if you know her. She's
Yeah,
like
the
a
singer.
celebrity.
I know.
So she used to
Tinashe
be,
what?
Tinashe
Kachingwe.
Kachingwe. She's a Zimbabwean celebrity who went to the USA.
That's her surname?
Yeah, Kachingwe. She's
She's
like
from Zim.
half.
She's from
Shona,
Zim.
half Danish
So
or something,
guys,
right?
I'm not lying.
Yeah.
When we were younger and before she became famous,
Yeah.
I went on Twitter. I contacted her. We became friends and we're talking. Like guys, talking to the stage where it was like,
Did
boyfriend,
Tabby,
girlfriend.
no, not boyfriend. girlfriend.
Tabby, did
I'm not
you take a
doing
shot?
it.
Did you shoot your shot?
Yeah, no, I was definitely very interested.
Okay.
And then the second she hit fame,
Yeah,
no
she's like,
replies.
"The
Questions
Gone.
have been answered.
Oh,
Did you
right.
shoot your
Did
shot?
you shoot your shot?
Yeah,
The ball, you
you know
were
the
holding the
thing is-
ball. You just didn't.
You
go for the
know
jump
when you
shot.
have to dribble the keeper, then the defenders, and you're like, hey, what you hey. And then when you're just about to take the shot, it's like, time
Game
out.
over.
Game
Yeah,
over.
so it was that kind of situation. Like there was no goalie. I was right in the front of the
Yeah.
post, and it was
that's-
deep out
Yeah.
there.
So
That was
Fred,
when I had Twitter.
Fred.
Now I don't.
Yeah.
Your BIH experience. Just tell us a little bit about them because you passed through there, and I think you're probably still doing some work with them.
Yeah,
Not for them,
well,
but with them.
We're with them, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think, man? What do you think about BIH?
Look, my thought, to some extent, look, the whole idea of the building, it's a great concept.
Yeah.
Like Tavi said, have something iconic that people can look at and what view. At the same time, I then agree with what you've said as well. What's the use of the building if you don't have people to put in the building? Which is, at some point, I remember BH has had, as far as I've seen from the outside, they've had the challenge of actually saying who actually is best suited to be in here.
Okay.
And on top of that, BIH is also a Gaborone concept. It's not a Botswana concept. By that I mean, if you're not in GABS, you'll never benefit or know about it or be able to use the facility. So these are things that,
They don't offer virtual things. Like I heard they do virtual support, like virtual offices and like virtual
I
coaching.
read about that.
Like but obviously it's not the same as being in the building.
No.
But I mean, like
you see. So
I think they tried in that regard. But yeah,
so when you've got that kind of funding, and you talk about inclusive economy or inclusive setup or whatever it is, you'd rather be spending a lot of that money saying, okay, as Tavi mentioned, let's get the best people into an organization to run it and deliver, the management organization. At the same time, taking a lot of that money and saying, what innovation, like Tavi just said earlier at the beginning of this, technology is not just in tech or in an app that's been developed or whatever it is. Tech is in everything that you see around you on a daily basis.
Right.
So there's so many things that are happening out there in Botswana that can actually be developed if someone has just whether it doesn't have to be financial resources, but just enough support, a room to machine a few things here and there or whatever it is to better produce something much faster or whatever it is. So the resources that have been poured into that, which has not been completed as well, to my knowledge, if I'm correct, could have been used elsewhere within the country, to better some of these things, and then have more tenants coming in there. So then BIH starts making money, because I know if you're as a startup, if you're bought in there, you pay rent of some sort.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know,
Yeah.
like
You know,
250 or
bit, yeah.
but still,
Yeah.
it's nothing to write home about. Like 250 or 300. I don't know. how it
This
is
might be
now.
more now. I think maybe the
750?
thousands.
Oh,
Like
wow.
1.5, 2 grand somewhere there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you have more people who are running businesses that can afford to pay, even if it's a minimal rental, but they can pay that. You know what the Leas are doing at the, in Pilanes and all the places that they have.
Yes,
They've
yes.
got incubators, yes, but you pay your way. It's not a free setup. You pay some form of rent. It's subsidized, granted, but you pay something. So things like that then make sense. So you've got people who've got business from outside. Then you're told, listen, you have a viable business. Let's put you into Lea to help you reduce costs. Get, as Tavi also mentioned, access to market. Grow your market a little bit more. Get into retail, whatever it is that you need to do. Get into another country. Get into Silicon Valley, whatever it is you do from our space here. But let's help you. But that doesn't exist because we spend more time, and this is not just a Botswana problem. It's an African problem. We spend more time, like Tavi said, we've gone to look at buildings, right? But where America is today, we are still 200 to 500 years behind that. We can't be building iconic buildings now, right? Unfortunately,
Agreed.
when
Agreed.
we're saying we're trying to mimic what's happening in that side. Yeah, tourism, everything granted. I agree with you fully on that. But we can't build the iconic buildings, yet the fundamentals to support or house or facilitate whatever it is that's iconic builds don't exist. When Tavi talks about principles, things like they're not there in the whole of
processes
Africa.
aren't there.
Yes, the processes are not there.
Yeah.
So we're building things. We're saying, yeah, I want first world life. This is why now. I remember one time, if I go back 10 years, one of our businesses, a guy came to get he won a tender, government electrification, whatever it is. This guy had a Corolla, the deluxe cabs Corolla. Yeah. This is what he was driving. Right? He came to us, guy, please listen. I need you guys to sort this out. We took our own capital. We did his job on credit. I think we billed him something like maybe 300,000 at times. It was like 2010, somewhere there. This guy's tender was worth about $1 million, right? So take note, he got paid this money. This was before they did mobilization monies, the old systems. This guy got paid all his money. And the first thing he does, he went to the dealership and he bought a car.
Sure.
Right? And then he came back to negotiate to us now to say, guys, listen, he's now driving this big car now.
Yeah.
I don't have money, guys, right now.
Oh.
I can pay you in bits and pieces. So you're saying principles, culture, the way we're thinking now, we cannot place ourselves. We've created a desire for like what's the generation Y, the generation now, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Where we want to have things now, but we need to build up to certain things. So even the innovation hubs, even the funding systems that exist. I'll take a shot at CEDA for now, for example.
Okay.
CEDA only 2 years ago did they create they put out a tender, again went to tender, where they said we want a quantity surveyor with 10 years experience, we want a business developer with 10 years experience, we want certain people in certain sectors so they could better judge businesses.
Yeah.
And I still ask myself that why didn't they do this at the beginning when they created the mandate of CEDA? 1. 2, why would I get a guy who's been working as a quantity surveyor for me, as in my employee for 10 years? He knows nothing about business. Ask me, the guy who's digging trenches, doing what QS guys do 24/7, to come on board at CEDA and become your business advisor.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, I can't take a shot at someone very specific. Let me not do this here.
No, don't do that.
Because I think you know who I'm talking about. There's things that also then people need to do. When you realize you delivered a project over 1, 2, 3, 4 years, you need to really get back and assess that what are you delivering? Are you giving real results? Or is it for show now? Is it just money coming in and it's just things you're going around and just doing it for show? if you're friends or you're in contact with actual people who are in actual real businesses who can actually contribute, like you're saying, you say Tabi, he can contribute to certain things, I can contribute to certain things. You speak to people like that who can actually contribute meaningfully, to the lives of other entrepreneurs who are starting up.
Yeah.
Then you're doing things in the right manner. So it's a whole cancer it starts from right at the top, from a government level right down to the smallest guy, the magogo at home. It's just a cancer that's hit all of us in Africa that we're still trying to get out of, the lack of principles that the lack of principles actually. I think.
Okay, so unfortunately, guys, we are out of time.
I think we can keep going, man.
We are out of time.
You guys are going to have to come back because there's a lot we need to
Ace
get
Fred,
into.
you've been on the 4skins podcast. How do you feel?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I feel raw and uncut. No, just serious.
All right, but before we actually leave, 1 minute, what do you want to say to the people listening to you and watching you, your friends, family, your supporters, your investors, maybe potential investors, potential clients? What do you want to say about what you're doing and what you want to contribute to society? What are you about?
This is to me, right?
This is to you. To both of you, but we're starting with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Action. There you go.
Yeah, there's actually a lot, eh? It's quite difficult. I'll just say to the people who are in the entrepreneurship space, who are dwindling between both left and right, what I had said in an interview when I won the BITC competition with the LMS that we did, is if you're a scissors, you're a scissors. If you're an axe, you're an axe, right? Don't try to be one or the other because they're all built for purpose. Don't try to do things out of your purpose. Check. So just because you see this guy cutting down trees and you're like, I want to cut down trees, aka being an entrepreneur or something. In fact, let me even inverse it so it makes it more glorified. Just because you see an entrepreneur cutting out the best shapes of origami, those like that paper art. Yeah. And then you, as an axe, are trying to do that. You're not going to be able to do that. You're going to slice that paper into pieces. Like, it's going to look messy. But the scissors can't cut that tree. See, it's built for purpose. So not everyone should be an entrepreneur. Not everyone should be a doctor. Not everyone should be. So don't think that just because you're not an entrepreneur, you're a failure. You can be the most brilliant employee. There are people getting paid more than entrepreneurs' companies' turnovers. Yeah. My guys, I'm telling you, if you really work through it, like, you can do anything. It's just more in the mindset. Because you're like, oh no, but in Botswana we don't get paid well. Right, great. So what skills have you developed for yourself that allow you to be internationally employable? Yeah. There's so many free products online. Legit. Like, why are you here? If you're so upset, go online, learn some stuff, put your CV on LinkedIn for free. They won't charge you for that. And those same courses will be for free. And somebody will be like, hey, that's interesting. Would you like to do remote work? Oh, guess what? You've got 10 remote work companies working for you, and you're getting paid 10,000 times more. You're like an entrepreneur, self-employed kind of situation. So that would be the first thing to the people. And then to investors or potential business partners, you guys, let's change the topic about discounts, right? And let's discuss quality and output, right? And
I'm with that.
Yeah, like let's say, like, if you want to pay half the amount because you want a 50% discount, then get half the house. Get no roof, don't get the foundation. Remove one of the walls, kind of situation. Because there's certain standardizations. I'm not trying to say everyone charge out of your bum. Because, like, again, like he had mentioned earlier, Fred, about the pricing, you need to be smart about it. But if you're producing a certain quality and an output that cannot be replicated, there's a premium for that. Like Apple, it's a premium. A Mercedes-Benz, premium. Those kind of things. Like, if that's the quality you're looking for and that's the standard you want to represent yourself, the question that a lot of designers, I'm going to speak on the space of the design space, when someone will say something like, hey, that logo is expensive. And it's just like, okay, the logo represents your company. How much are you worth?
Right.
You ask them that. How much are you worth? Like, if you're worth $250, then fine.
Go for it.
Yeah.
But go for it. Like, if you don't think you're worth $250, then don't pay that much. I'm not just saying pay the designer a huge amount because you think you're worth a lot. No, also look at the quality. And that's where the conversation starts. You negotiate quality and not the cost. Right. You see, like, look at it, compare it to our existing spaces.
Right, I like that.
So, like, I'm hoping that they engage us with that perspective. They see our track record. They see that we've been working consistently, delivering on all the solutions that we've been doing.
Okay, and then where can they
things like
find
that.
you?
Oh, they can find me on our company's called Digital Natives, like digital, and then we're the natives of the digital era because like we're the millennials. We were legit, like it's legit what it is.
Yeah.
And that's where the name came from. And we build digital solutions. So you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and if you want to follow me personally, same, Mthabisi Bokete, Facebook, Instagram, it's T Bokete, just T, then Bokete on Instagram, and yeah, you can follow me there. I'm going to be doing a lot of day in the life of an entrepreneur in Botswana.
Okay.
Videos, and I'll be pushing that on my story. In fact, this call right now is a business call. like legit.
He stays busy, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Fred, 1 minute.
Ooh, Tabby's spoken forever.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, he basically took you a minute.
All right. I think first and foremost, probably from the investor perspective in Botswana, I'd say guys who have, it doesn't have to be high net worth. If you have just a bit of money that that makes sense to invest somewhere, and whether you're an entrepreneur or whatever it is, take time to actually get to know what people are doing out there and put the money in. Have faith in the next person. I think we spoke about lack of trust amongst peoples. Contracts exist, other forms of documentation, NDAs and things like that that help try and protect you and protect your investment. So I think that we just need to spend time researching on and really understanding and making use of, and then using that money to better the economy. The private sector needs to come into play. To my business partners specifically, I think I always call them my sugar daddies.
It comes with certain implications, but okay, sure.
So look, I've been in business with a couple of guys. A lot of them are all older than me, so they've been in the game for a while. So I learn from them, every single day. So half the stuff I actually say, it's not always just my original thought. It's input from elsewhere with my processing that gives me better understanding, a bit more wisdom for lack of a better word. And then to entrepreneurs specifically themselves, partly as Tabi was saying, but listen, if you're not designed to be an entrepreneur, just don't go down that road. You're just going to take government money. You're going to take your 50,000, 100,000, whatever it is.
And just ruin it.
And ruin it and waste it, and eventually end back on the entrepreneurship side of things. As he's mentioned, upskill yourself. Make yourself valuable to that employer or to the next employer. That way, when you actually demand a particular amount of money, I see value in that, and I can actually willing to pay you that kind of money. I think those are the main things for me, really. Yeah.
Fred, Ace, Timoloho, thank you guys so much for being on the 4skins podcast.
It's been real.
Yeah, guys.
That's the 4skins podcast, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.